Loads of people getting in touch today. Thank you to Tom, who says, how many lives did the COVID app and vaccine passport save? I had neither. I am somehow still here. We already have passports, bank accounts, national insurance numbers, NHS numbers. We don't need digital ID. Another person says, funny how obsessive party leaders, both Tory and Labour, can't stop themselves criticising Reform UK and Nigel Farage, but one by one are adopting and spouting reform policies. The latest appears to be flags in public buildings, following not leading. Suzanne says, Peter, are they not required to put this ID stuff to the people, or at least have a vote on it in Parliament? We already have our ID. If it's really just about illegal workers, then why not just give every illegal person one when they come over? We don't need them. Well, listen, they may well put it to Parliament, but Labour can basically do what it wants if it has the support, which I think it probably would. Pete Sutton says, why is fish and chips a fish supper? It could be dinner, lunch, or even breakfast. Oh, I'd love a fish supper for my breakfast. Maybe this is a northern thing. We set in Northern Ireland. I think they set in Scotland too. Argus Watson is the owner of a fish and chip shop, fish and chip company in Auchterarder in Scotland. Do you call it a fish supper, Argus?
Good evening, Peter. Yes, I think it's just what traditionally it's been called in Scotland. We just call it a supper, and it relates to like dinner times, going for your supper, having supper with friends. So the word fish supper, I mean, I grew up with it. I think it's just that connotation stuff.
Yeah, and fish supper meaning fish and chips is certainly what I grew up with as well. I had a fish supper the other night. It was absolutely delicious. Although I worried I was becoming middle class because I actually put some balsamic vinegar on it. As long as I didn't wash my windows with it, that's the main thing. Fergus, are you worried about this recommendation that cod rationing could mean one fish supper for every 1,200 people a year, or do you think it's just a load of bollocks?
Oh, that was clever.
Thank you.
To be honest with you, obviously Scotland, our traditional, we've got 3 fish and chip shops across our small group, and our customer base predominantly it's haddock that we sell. So I know that there's been that sort of conversation going back and forwards about cod and haddock. I do remember growing up, it was probably more cod when we were growing up. But so for us, it's all about, I think the sustainability issue is really important. I think stocks have to be looked after and preserved, because obviously that gets to a point where they'll eventually run out. The challenge we've had in Scotland is because of some of the other pressures, there's more pressure on haddock prices now, so demand for haddock's actually higher. So our price point this summer has increased significantly.
How much is haddock and chips then at your fish and chip shop?
Yeah, we're between 10.60 and maybe 11.25, just with different locations and different sort of market dynamics.
And what about cod then?
So we don't do any cod.
You don't do cod at all?
No, because it's traditionally the Scottish thing is haddock and chips.
Sure.
Basically, so we keep it simple. If you see what I mean, we don't get any requests, to be honestly, for.
That's interesting.
Haddock,
what are the
cod.
cheap?
We do.
Okay. What are the cheaper fish then, Fergus? Are there ones where you can get a bit cheaper than haddock?
Yeah, I mean, there's things like, I suppose you can look to things like pollock, and there's other cuts, but we're trying to, because we're traditional fish and chip shops, we're well established, our customers are loyal to us, we try not to change, and then we try to run our businesses as competitively as possible, because we all know what we've been through the last number of years with all the narrative about everything costs, staff, blah, blah, blah. So we just try and still provide that great service to 90% of our businesses. Our customers at Auchterarder are local, and then my other 2 locations, there's a big visitor dynamic to that as well. So yeah, a lot of English visitors will ask for the cod, but then they try the haddock and they say they like it. So so I think, I mean, the interesting thing for me is the balance, is the science, are the numbers right, and how do you get that balance in terms of protecting stocks, not just for cod, because the haddock equation, that conversation might start to happen, and then I think after that it's a bit innovative and looking at different things, and businesses adapt and have to change to the sort of market dynamic, to still provide what our customers are looking for.
Do you think it's reasonable for this International Council for the Exploration of the Sea to say that actually we all need to eat a lot less cod because it's just not sustainable? Wait till it builds up a bit and then maybe start fishing it again?
To be honest, yeah, I mean, I think there's a balance, and they're obviously coming out with their data to present that case. And obviously last year I was just reading the article about the thresholds, and the thresholds were increases. I think if it all comes through, it just means there'll be less people will eat less cod, but consumers will find alternatives, and other, in terms of getting the wholeness that you get from fish. not necessarily just in a chippy, but what else, the other health benefits you get from eating fish, basically. So yeah, I don't know. I always feel a bit sceptical of these things. We'll go through a process. There'll be numbers. There'll be a bun fight. A decision will be made, and then life goes on.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Fergus, what is it about fish chips that is just so delicious? I mean, we have a situation where, you know, it's a cold evening, often somewhere coastal, and you go for fish and chips, you put a load of salt and vinegar on them, and they just taste delicious no matter what the fish is. Is there something psychological about that, about the fact that just for some reason, fish and chips from a fish and chip shop on a cold night, usually often at the sea, near the seaside, it's just, I think, the most delicious thing in the world?
You know, we all love fish and chips. It's like part of our traditional, it's part of our heritage across the UK. It evokes childhood memories of going on holidays and going to the seaside, your fish and chips, your ice cream that you get as well. And yeah, I mean, we've been fortunate that we're in a position where we're in the market of giving that, because people love fish and chips. It's one of the most popular sort of takeaway products, and because we've maintained our values and our traditions and how we and look after our customers, who doesn't want a fish and chips overlooking the harbour?
Yeah, absolutely.
With Sunday, and you know, yeah. So I think there's been a lot of challenges within the sector in the last sort of few years. We all know about, and I think there's still some challenges ahead. But I think if you've got your offer right, it's going to it deals with all the ups and downs of what's happening in the economy at the moment, because people love fish and chips.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, and I love it.
Of course. Fergus, thank you. Fergus Watson there, who is owner of the fish and chip company, which is a fish and chip shop in Auchterarder. It's 3 sites. I had called the other night, and I think what I might have to do tonight for the purposes of research is to have haddock and chips. I think fish and chips twice in 1 week might be a big deal, but I haven't had fish and chips for about 6 months. So I think maybe I should have haddock and chips tonight and report back tomorrow about which one was nicer. Steve in Bromsgrove says, a good use of a digital ID would be your fish ration. Your fish ration is allocated to your digital account, so you cannot buy more than the government allocates. The same will apply to diesel, petrol and flights, etc., says Steve. Please, no. Molly says, how many French people eat cod and chips from British waters? Martin in Gillingham says, I was born in Grimsby 71 years ago. We always had haddock. My dad used to say cod was for cats in the garden, says Martin in Gillingham. Lots more to discuss, not just on fish and chips, but also on what's in the Sun tomorrow. Obviously, a lot on the politics and Andy Burnham as well. We'll talk about digital ID. Loads of people getting in touch about that. Yvonne has just messaged me as well to say if I were to select my last meal on earth, it would be fish and chips. Yvonne, I think that is a very, very good idea. We'll talk to Will Barker